If you're thinking about changing schools, why wait? At Manhattan University, love those guys. You don't have to start over. With transfer-friendly pathways, your credits count, and you keep moving forward. From day one, you're part of Jasper Nation, preparing for the real world. And with New York City just a train away, opportunity is everywhere. Ready to move forward without missing a step? Visit manhattan.edu/transfer and enroll today. Manhattan University. Don't start over. Move forward.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77
Yes, that's me. 5 o'clock. Good morning. It is Tuesday, February 3rd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today. We'll get above freezing again. High 33. Tonight and overnight, cloudy, low 24. And then Wednesday, kind of the same thing. Sunshine, high 32. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it is 11 and clear in Scarsdale up in Westchester County. It's 8 and clear in Dumont over in New Jersey. And it's 11 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
The cold weather death toll climbs. An LIRR train crashes into a car. Was Savannah Guthrie's mom really kidnapped? When will all the trash bags littering city streets be picked up? ICE agents back out in Jersey City last night. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. More people have been found dead outdoors during the cold stretch here in the city. The death toll now climbing to 16.
In 13 of these cases, preliminary findings indicate that hypothermia played a role, and 3 of these deaths appear to be overdose deaths.
That's Mayor Mamdani yesterday. So today is the 12th straight day of below freezing temps. Now, we got above freezing a degree or so yesterday, but essentially we're in this cold snap. The mayor says this stretch may end up being the longest period of consecutive days with sub-32 degree weather the city's had in its history. Now, the mayor saying there's plenty of warming shelters available. They have outreach workers on the streets trying to get the homeless off the streets, but they haven't been completely successful.
We are continuing to do everything in our power to get every New Yorker into a shelter where they will be warm. The cold is showing no signs of stopping, so neither will this city's efforts. If you see someone in need, please call 311. Outreach workers and first responders from the NYPD and FDNY will respond and get those New Yorkers the help that they need. Today is our 11th consecutive day of below freezing weather, and we could very well be in the middle of the longest period of consecutive sub-32 degree weather in our city's entire history.
Mayor yesterday at a press conference, New Yorkers reacting to this. The death of 16 people so far during this stretch of frigid temperatures. Here were New Yorkers Midtown yesterday.
Oh, sad. Frustrated.
It's super unfortunate, and it's really frustrating because I feel like in New York City, we especially have the housing infrastructure to, house these people.
Yeah, it came after the mayor made this announcement about single-unit shelters to accommodate New Yorkers who are reluctant to spend the night in a shelter with other people. That's some of the issue of getting homeless no matter what time of the year it is off the streets.
For sure. We knew about the cold. We knew it was going to snow. We should have done it earlier.
Those 14 deaths are really sad. I'm sure that could have been avoided.
Yes. As soon as the forecast came out for the extreme temperatures, something had to be done.
Yeah, the mayor not getting high marks for the way he's reacted to this cold spell.
It's unbearable. I think we need better conditions for people on the street.
That's very, very sad.
It's kind of shocking.
Yeah, so the cold spell, of course, being felt across lots of parts of the country, places where it doesn't normally get cold. Farmers down in Florida prepping for another freeze tonight. They had one last night, assessing the damage from the weekend as well. David Torbert of Torbert Farms, that's in Homestead, he says he's not sure just how bad the damage is to his crops.
The wind was blowing all night, which helped us, but it kind of fell out right at daylight when it was the coldest, so frost started to form.
He says some of the heavy damage has been on squash wash, lighter damage on beans, but they're still trying to figure it out all.
We had some heavy damage on some squash.
I think I just
we
said
had
that.
some lighter damage on beans. It all kind of just depended where you're at. It definitely could have been worse, but there's also a level of uncertainty when it comes to the damage since it's not all shown yet, so it's kind of just a waiting game.
Yeah, yesterday Orlando saw temperatures colder than parts of Alaska. So coming up after 5:30, we will hear from New Yorkers suffering through cold weather-related power outages. We'll get to that after 5:30. WABC News Time 5:04, the NFL breaking its silence after Giants co-owner Steve Tisch appeared in the recent release of Epstein files.
Tisch and the disgraced financier Epstein traded emails in 2013. In it, Tisch asked Epstein about several women, including whether or not they were pro or civilian. In response, Tisch says he was discussing adult women with Epstein, but at that point, Epstein had already been convicted of procuring a child for prostitution. Steve Tisch is the executive vice president and chairman of the board of the Giants. The NFL's statement reading in part, the league is aware of the reports and Steve's response, vowing to look at the facts during their investigation. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 5:05. Let's go down to Washington. The House Rules Committee has cleared the way for a vote to end the partial government shutdown today. The committee has now moved forward a funding package approved last week by the Senate, one which would fund the government and extend funding for the Department of Homeland Security for 2 more weeks. That's designed to give time for the Democrats to negotiate immigration enforcement reforms. So House Speaker Mike Johnson saying last night he expects this measure will pass later today. Out to Arizona in what has become an awful and wild story. Investigators now believe that Savannah Guthrie's mother, of course she's the host of the Today Show, was abducted from her Arizona home against her will over the weekend. The Pima County Sheriff's Department making the announcement last night saying they believe 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie may have been kidnapped as she was last seen late Saturday night in Tucson's Catalina Foothills area.
What this one was, when I got the advisory that this 84-year-old lady was missing from her residence, there was something else there that didn't click.
She was reported missing by family members. This was about noon on Sunday. They say she's of good sound in mind, but she does need her daily medication to survive.
You know, we get people who walk away from their homes. We get missing people in the mountains hiking and in the desert trails. But I can't think of the last time where in the middle of the night in someone's bed, an 84-year-old woman disappeared on us.
The grandmother last seen Saturday about 9:45 p.m. after one of her kids dropped her off at her home. She was reported missing the next day after she did not show up for church.
As I said yesterday, we saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we process that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime. And we're asking the community's help.
And again, police say Nancy Guthrie is of good sound mind, but she's not in fantastic physical shape. So they say they can't believe she would just walk away from her home. Savannah Guthrie was set to be in Italy to host the Winter Olympics. And now, obviously, she's not there, back with her family, aiding in the search for her mom. WABC News Time 5:09. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says that immigration agents in Minneapolis will now start wearing body cams. President Trump says he backs that move.
And they generally tend to be good for law enforcement because people can't lie about what's happening. So it's generally speaking, I think 80% good for law enforcement.
Noem took to X to make the announcement yesterday, saying that as funding is available, it will also be expanded nationwide, adding that it is in the interest of transparency for these ICE agents. That, as you have some pushback from people who are not happy about the ICE agents being out there. One of them is a candidate for Long Beach, California mayor. He is calling on 55 local gangs in California California to oppose ICE operations.
I am calling all 55 gangs in my beautiful city. I expect a gang leader from every gang, all 55 gangs, and I'm not going to name them by name.
Rogelio Martinez is a Harvard law student. He posted this video to social media. In it, he calls for gang leaders from Latino, Cambodian, Pacific Islander, Black Filipino groups to rally against ICE. Now, of course, people say this sounds more like a threat.
I'm calling all gang leaders to meet me right here, Long Beach City Hall, this coming Monday. Why Monday? Specifically, I need you to be here to meet me in person to take back this city. Enough is enough. ICE needs to get out of Long Beach, and this is the only way that I know how to get them out.
Martinez facing a lot of criticism for that video. Not clear that anybody showed up for his Monday meeting. And then you have this candidate for district attorney in San Antonio, Texas, says if he's elected, he'll investigate ICE agents and have them arrested. And experts say, yeah, actually the DA does have the power to do that.
Most large district attorney's offices have their own law enforcement agency embedded in the office.
That's Professor Thomas Hogan at South Texas College of Law, says these investigators do have wide authority to take on cases.
It's the Criminal Investigation Division, so it's like your own police force within a DA's office. And they're certified peace officers, so they have the same authority that any other agency would have.
And I saw some of these ICE operations up close last night as I was walking the dog. The ICE agents were back out in the neighborhood in Jersey City making arrests. Here's more from James Flippen.
Video started to make the rounds on social media of ICE agents taking several people into custody at the light rail station near the Hoboken and Jersey City border Sunday. There were also reports of ICE agents operating in New Brunswick and Teaneck. A large turnout for that meeting in Hoboken, where elected officials said local cops were not notified of ICE operations. And the mayors of Hoboken and Jersey City reminded residents of their rights and explained how to safely film ICE agents to document encounters. James Flippen for 77 WABC News.
And coming up after 5:30, we will hear from some of the people who went face-to-face with some of these ICE agents in Jersey City over the last 24 hours. WABC News Time 5:12, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announcing an initiative to address mental health and addiction. The Health and Human Services Secretary says his goal is to coordinate the treatment and recovery programs for addicts in order to prevent relapses.
You get paid one price for treating that individual, and you follow that individual for 3 years, and you're responsible for all the costs.
And what Kennedy says is there's too much financial incentive for rehab facilities and insurance companies to keep addiction patients in a relapse cycle, and he wants that to end.
To coordinate response so that somebody is in charge of that addict. Somebody is accountable as he moves through the system, and to move to outcome-based services where people have an incentive to make sure you don't relapse, that there's a strong economic incentive.
The health secretary says his Action for Progress initiative will focus on creating a more coordinated effort between hospitals, specialists, and insurance companies to incentivize making sure addicts don't relapse. President Trump says there's nothing damaging about him in any of the new Jeffrey Epstein investigation files that were released on Friday. The president says he's noticed things came out about former President Bill Clinton and Bill Gates in this latest document dump, but nothing about him.
Have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do.
But some Democrats maintain the DOJ is withholding files to protect the president, an accusation that Trump has denied. Congress passed a bill last year that compels the DOJ to release its FBI and other federal records related to Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. Meanwhile, Ghislaine Maxwell. Meanwhile, Bill and Hillary Clinton now say they'll testify in the House probe of Jeffrey Epstein.
Their attorneys told Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer in an email Monday that the former president and former Secretary of State will appear after months of refusing to comply with subpoenas. The House was just days away from voting on whether to hold the Clintons in criminal contempt of Congress for skipping earlier deposition dates. Bill Clinton has appeared in several photos connected to Epstein, but he's long insisted he did nothing wrong during his past dealings with the convicted sex trafficker who died in 2019. 519. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
In a moment, we'll go down to Virginia, where the case of a former IRS tax operator who apparently had his wife and someone else killed to have an affair with his au pair. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Here's Justin Allen. Good morning,
Can't
Justin.
wait to hear about that story.
Yeah, it's a wild story, but you have to wait.
All right, fine. To sports here, Noam led. Start out in Washington, D.C. On the ice, the Islanders got handled 4-1 by the Capitals. New York led 1-0 after one period on a goal by Matty Barzal, but fell apart thereafter. Up next for them, they'll host the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight for a 7:30 p.m. puck drop. Also tonight, the Devils will return to action at home in Jersey. They'll welcome in the Columbus Blue Jackets for a 7 p.m. start. Looking ahead to hardwood action tonight as well, but the Knicks and the Nets, they're back at it. Knicks at 7 p.m. will be out in D.C. against the Wizards, and the Nets at 7:30, they will host the Lakers. And with 3 days to go before the NBA trade deadline, the market for Giannis Antetokounmpo has started to progress as the Milwaukee Bucks have submitted counteroffers to teams aggressively seeking a deal for the two-time MVP. The Miami Heat, Minnesota Timberwolves, Golden State Warriors, and yes, the New York Knicks are among the most active suitors for a deal.
Are the Knicks serious about this? Do we know?
I mean, 3 days to go until the deadline, and, reports are saying, listen, they're the last team on this list. So, I think top of mind, they're not the team that's going to end up here with Giannis, but, if you're among 1, 2, 3, 4 finalists here,
I guess that means you're semi-serious.
Plenty of teams in the NBA know them all, Aiden, and you're one of 4 that's going after a 2-time MVP. Sounds like pretty good odds to me, but we shall see. Listen, I don't think he's coming to New York, but got to give up a lot to get him. But we will find out.
What's the thought? Sure. Golden State, right? Is that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's the thought right now. Obviously, Minnesota, I think. But we'll see. 3 days until the deadline. And Super Bowl 60 on Sunday, 6:30 p.m. kickoff. Of course, Seahawks and Patriots are looking ahead to that all week. Seattle 4.5 point the favorites still. That is your Sports Noah, and I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:19 down to Virginia, where the jury in the Brandon Banfield murder trial found him guilty of killing his wife and another man.
We, the jury on the issue, join in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield, defendant, find the defendant guilty of aggravated murder of Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield as part of the same act or transaction.
This was one of these trials that Court TV was covering, like crazy. Prosecutors allege Banfield was having an affair with the family's au pair at the time of the killings in 2023. Now, this is how sick this individual was. They say he lured a man to his house through a fetish website and then planned to blame his wife's murder on that stranger. So this guy shows up at the house, just thinking he's going to have some sort of weird fetish thing happen, and then he's killed. So Banfield faces life in prison, set to be sentenced in May. Here's the Fairfax County Meadowell's attorney who prosecuted this case.
I am very, very pleased that we are able to stand here successfully having gotten justice for Joe Ryan and Christine Banfield.
Yeah, and he says that Brandon Banfield was monstrous.
I've been doing this job for a while, and I can tell you that this defendant stood out to me highest above all the other murder cases that we've done in my 6 years.
And it was the au pair who essentially, in the end, did him in, the one he was having an affair with.
She told us some things that we had not known. We did check on her story. We felt confident in that story, confident enough to offer her the plea deal that we gave her.
And, of course, he says he feels for the victim's family.
I hope that this verdict gives them some sense of peace and puts them somewhere on the path towards healing after this tragic homicide.
Let's hope they throw him behind bars for the rest of his life. California in the grips of the largest outbreak of mushroom poisoning in years. At least 35 children and adults have fallen ill from eating foraged death cap mushrooms, mistaking them for the edible kind.
And we anticipate that these mushrooms could continue to be fruiting in abundance throughout the rainy season in California.
That's Dr. Craig Smolin. He's with the California Poison Control System, says the victims range in age from a 1-year-old all the way up to 67. 3 people have died.
Just to put that into context, in a typical year, CPCS may receive reports of anywhere between 0 and about 5 cases.
What a way to go. The California Poison Control System says that eating these death cap mushrooms causes progressive liver injury.
And in some cases, that can advance to full liver failure and potentially death.
Yeah, 35 people, though, so far. 521, Hollywood star Gary Sinise is going to throw a benefit concert in Kerrville, Texas, as a way to show appreciation for those who helped after last year's deadly 4th of July floods there.
He is a wonderful American who lives by the example of, getting people together.
That's a local lawmaker. The concert in April will feature Gary Sinise and his Lieutenant Dan Band. He has a long history of supporting veterans and first responders. Now he's going to do what he can to raise money for these people in Kerrville.
It's amazing. You see what he can do, and I'm so glad that our community can share with this.
Yeah, he's a great guy, Gary Sinise. While we're down in Texas, farmers cheering a move made by Governor Abbott, who issued a statewide disaster declaration yesterday regarding a flesh-eating parasite that can destroy livestock.
It's very important that Texas use all of its resources across all agencies in preparation for the New World screwworm.
We've been hearing about the screwworm for a while. That's Gary Joyner, by the way, with the Texas Farm Bureau, who says the New World screwworm, I wonder how they named it, is not here, yes, but it's been detected right in Mexican border states.
The preventive measures we can do right now may help slow down its progress or keep it out of Texas. Start using those resources now on preventative measures.
Yeah, so the governor says his order gives a special response team access to all state government prevention and response resources to keep that screwworm on the other side of the border. 523. President Trump going to welcome the Colombian president to the White House later today.
I look forward to seeing him. He's coming in. We're going to be talking about drugs because tremendous amounts of drugs come out of his country.
Yeah, the president says he'll discuss those flow of drugs coming from the region with Colombian President Gustavo Petro at the White House. Meanwhile, yesterday, the president announcing Project Vault, which is a $12 billion initiative to stockpile rare earth minerals to reduce U.S.'s reliance on China.
Today, we're launching what will be known as Project Vault, to ensure that American businesses and workers are never harmed by any shortage. We don't want to ever go through what we went through a year ago.
Yeah, the president says the mineral stockpile is modeled after the nation's emergency oil reserves. Several companies, including GM, Boeing, Alphabet's Google, have signed on to the project. The minerals are used from everything from iPhones to jet engines, so we need them.
Just as we have long had a strategic petroleum reserve and a stockpile of critical minerals for national defense, we're now creating this reserve for American industries. This historic initiative will combine $10 billion in export-import bank financing with $2 billion in private sector financing, and we even expect the American taxpayer to make a profit from the interest on the loan used to start the Project Vault.
And while we're down at the White House, the president also talking about the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts, which will shut down in July for renovations. Correspondent Tony Waterman reports the closure is expected to last about 2 years.
President Trump says he's been mulling the decision for a year, and that completely shutting the world-class Performing Arts Center is the fastest way to revitalize what he described as a tired, broken, and dilapidated institution.
Now, apparently this would begin around July 4th.
The president says the financing is fully in place, but didn't say if it was coming from the government or private donors, like the ones funding his White House ballroom.
WABC News Time 525. Eddie Bauer reportedly planning to file bankruptcy and close its North American stores.
Women's Wear Daily reports the company has intentions to shutter an estimated 200 stores located across the U.S. and Canada as part of the bankruptcy plans. However, the outlet reported last week that the bankruptcy filing is not expected to impact the company's manufacturing, e-commerce, and wholesale operation in North America, as it was in the process of transitioning ownership. Eddie Bauer had previously filed for bankruptcy twice in its 106-year existence. I'm Wendy Swanson.
When was the last time you thought about Eddie Bauer? I guess that's why their stores are closing. All right, the teams are in San Francisco for this weekend's Super Bowl. Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. Fans spending thousands on tickets to travel for Super Bowl 60, and the scammers apparently already cashing in. The Better Business Bureau saying that one of the biggest mistake fans have been making is trusting sellers they find on social media or classified sites to buy these tickets for the Super Bowl.
Don't click on a link on Craigslist or on social media. Don't even waste your time doing something like that. The chances are they're going to be scammers. Check out the broker. You can look them up on bbb.org.
Yeah, so they're urging football fans just slow down. Avoid deals that sound too good to be true. Never pay with gift cards, cash, wire transfers, double-check website spellings. That sometimes is a giveaway. And security.
In the past, what we've seen is fake websites, fake reservation numbers. Pretty much you think you're purchasing a room from a hotel, and when you get to the hotel, your reservation number is totally false.
Yeah, and also, with AI now, you can create these fake tickets that look so real. So that's the other thing you have to look for if you're shopping for last-second Super Bowl tickets.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, February 3rd. Happy birthday, Zev. That's my younger brother. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, high 33. Tonight and overnight, cloudy, low 24, and then Wednesday, kind of the same thing. Sunshine, high 32. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. It's 11 and clear in Scarsdale up in Westchester County. It's 8 and clear in Dumont over in New Jersey. And it's 11 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540. Let's give you more details on that crash that happened on the LIRR. Several people injured after this train hit a vehicle on the tracks east of Farmingdale last night. Happened about 7:15 when this passenger train traveling east from Jamaica to Ronkonkoma hit the vehicle at the Little East Neck Road crossing. There were 3 people hurt on the train. Amazingly, nobody in the car was hurt, and we don't know exactly why the car was on the tracks, but this woman was waiting for a family member to arrive on that train.
As soon as she said that, we heard a loud bang, and then my other sister, my cousin went across the living room, and they heard it too, and then we heard people screaming.
Now, she spoke to News 12. East Farmingdale Fire and EMS treated one of the passengers at the scene. 2 others were taken to Good Samaritan University Hospital. Again, no injuries to the occupants of the vehicle. We'll know, I imagine, soon why or how they ended up on the tracks. But here were people who were on the train who hit this car, and then they had to wait for buses to take them the rest of the way home last night.
We, peeked our heads towards the front, and we started to smell gas. So we just started walking towards the back.
A few minutes later, I seen the conductor run by, and I went to someone that was sitting there. I said, "Oh, that's not good."
Yeah, so some stops going to be skipped today. I'm sure Joe will have the details all morning long. But 40 passengers were on this train. They were provided with bus service to get to their destination. Again, we don't know why or how the car ended up on the tracks, but thank God nobody was seriously hurt. We are learning more while we're out on Long Island about the moments that led up to a fatal crash that killed a Nassau County police officer over the weekend. Officer Patricia Espinoza, Saturday morning in St. James. The 42-year-old officer was killed about 6 a.m. on Route 347 when her vehicle was hit by another guy who had driven through a red light and was apparently, police say, drunk behind the wheel. He's identified as 20-year-old Matthew Smith. He's from Hauppauge. He's been charged now with driving while intoxicated. Espinoza, she was on her way to work as an officer at the time of the crash. She had just kissed her husband goodbye. He was also a Nassau County police officer. They leave behind a 2-year-old daughter. Here's Nassau County Police Commissioner Patrick Riley.
A mother, 42 years old, was leaving her home, kissed her husband goodbye, and said, "I will see you at work." She didn't get more than a mile from her house when the drunk driver blasted into her car, ending her life.
Yeah, now what they're telling us is that this individual, Matthew Smith, had gone to Jake's 58 Casino to get in an hour before the crash, was turned away because the casino was closed, and then the crash happened about an hour later, about 5 miles away from the casino. He is okay, but of course now facing charges of DWI, killing this police officer.
So I got more on this.
Yeah.
I've got a friend. Her name is Lisa Swolo, and she was married to a cop named Paul. And about 10 years ago, maybe more, her husband, a cop, was murdered, just like Jonathan Diller was a couple of years ago.
Right.
You know Jonathan? And Lisa was here a couple of times when we did the Tunnel to Towers radiothon for Frank Siller. Lisa started something called Promise of Hope with her boyfriend, now her fiancé, who's been in these studios, who you love, Noam, Mike Vandenberg.
Yeah, great. I love both of them. They're great,
right.
Both great people, yeah.
That day, Mike actually gave our friend $5,000 in her efforts to get a food truck to feed IDF soldiers, which, by the way, she did get. So long story short, Mike has spent the last couple of years paying for police funerals, little kids who were killed in Nassau or Suffolk County. He pays for them, too. So it turns out that Thursday is going to be Espinosa's funeral. And on Friday morning, Mike Vandenberg and Lisa will be live in studio. And yes, once again, it is Mike Vandenberg paying for her funeral through Promise of Hope.
That's great. I mean, just, it's so tragic. I mean, so senseless. A guy drunk behind the wheel kills her. I mean, you know, you can't throw this guy away long enough, but he doesn't repair anything, of course.
She's still gone. Yeah, she's still gone. But it's nice to know there are people out there like Mike and Lisa that, you know, just so you know, there were also 5 children killed in Nassau and Suffolk County last week. Mike Vandenberg, Lisa, Promise of Hope. They're paying for all 6 funerals.
Yeah, amazing people. I'll be excited to see them again. When did you say? Thursday? Friday? Friday, I guess they're coming in.
Friday at 9:30.
Friday at 9:30, okay. Anyway, either awful story out of Suffolk County. When we come back in a moment, there are people still in the dark this morning, all weather-related outages. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin F.
Thank you, Noam Liddon. We'll start here out in D.C. The Islanders got handled 4-1 by the Capitals. New York led 1-0 after one period on a goal by Matty Barzal, but fell apart thereafter. Up next for them, they'll host the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight for a 7:30 p.m. puck drop. Also tonight on the ice, the Devils will return to action. They'll welcome in the Columbus Blue Jackets for a 7 p.m. start. Head to the hardwood, where we're looking ahead to the Knicks and the Nets returning tonight. Knicks out in D.C. against the Wizards at 7 p.m. and at 7:30, the Nets will welcome in the LA Lakers. And with 3 days to go before the NBA trade deadline, the market for Giannis Antetokounmpo has started to progress as the Milwaukee Bucks have submitted counteroffers to teams aggressively seeking a deal for the two-time MVP. And among those teams, the Miami Heat, Minnesota Timberwolves, Golden State Warriors, and our New York Knicks among the most active suitors for a deal for Antetokounmpo. Sources did reveal to ESPN. So countdown begins 3 days at the most until we find out where Giannis' next stop is. And Super Bowl 60 coming up on Sunday. We're doing that all week long. 6:30 p.m. kickoff comes Sunday. Get your your event all sorted out. Noam Laden, who's going to bring the buffalo chicken dip?
Yeah.
Who's going to bring the Tostitos scoops? Who's going to bring?
Which one are you bringing?
Nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll bring a 12-pack of beer.
Okay.
For myself. And
to make the game interesting. Are you like me? I almost could kind of care less about this.
Yeah, I very well could watch the first half and then go to bed.
Yeah.
You know. So, we shall see. I mean, but that sounds like the best strategy, especially if we got to be back here on Monday.
Well, after 12 beers, you won't have a hard time falling asleep.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Seahawks right now still 4.5-point favorites. That's your Sports Noam. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:49. Nearly 2,000 Con Ed customers in Borum Hill and Park Slope were without power when I went to sleep last night, all connected to the extreme weather. Salt and water is getting running into the underground cables, and that's what's knocked out power. Con Ed having a hard time getting to some of this because the manholes, a lot of them are iced over, so they have to bring somebody in to get it all done, and that's why it's been slow to get these people's power back on.
Con Ed has to get to their infrastructure. It's underground, but the cars aren't moving, right? Alternate side is suspended. People aren't going anywhere. So we can get NYPD here to move the cars a couple of blocks, but then they're snowed in, right? So we have to get sanitation out to salt. So it just multiplies.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy. The problems actually started Friday night when customers in Borum Hill and Park Slope started experiencing partial outages that included flickering lights, things like that.
And by like late Sunday, power was basically down to a trickle. The space heater we had, there wasn't enough, energy. Wasn't enough power for that.
Now, the issue now is they've been given deadlines of when the power is going to be back on, and Con Ed hasn't necessarily matched those deadlines. But I can report it was 2,000 people as of last night. The number is about 800, something like that this morning. So people are getting the juice flowing again.
When they started to come back on, and now we're full throttle, like everything works, we're just feeling so fortunate and like we, hit the lottery. And it's things we took for granted, 3 days ago.
And for people who don't have power, there is a warming center open at Wyckoff Garden Houses for anyone in the dark or cold still today. And the weather-related issues continue here in the city. Trash pickup, right? It's the sanitation crews who get the snow off the streets and do that kind of thing. So trash collection has been held up a day or two. And depending on what your neighborhood you're in, you may see these bags, just tons of them, on the street. And New Yorkers say, they don't like to see the trash out there. Some of them are more understanding about the fact that these sanitation workers have been working overtime since, more than a week ago to not just fight the storm, but clean up the aftermath of it. So, maybe give them a break.
It's just kind of gross. Hoping they clean it up pretty soon.
Nobody's picking it up. No recycling, no composting, no garbage, nothing.
I live up in the Bronx. Worse than this. The garbage is piled up super high.
By the way, same in my neighborhood, but, I got to have some understanding that these sanitation workers are doing double duty. So sanitation department yesterday saying they are 24 hours behind, and they're working as fast as possible to pick everything up. But the crews have been focused first on cleaning the snow and the thick ice from streets and sidewalks to make it safer. Here's the mayor.
I know that they are working with everything that they have to come up to speed, and that'll continue to be a focus for us.
Yeah, but some New Yorkers not having anything of it. They have no sympathy for these workers.
More than a day, sitting here for more than a day. This is like day 4 or 5. Seems like a little longer than a day late.
If you live in New York and you don't just roll with the punches, right, you're never going to be okay with it.
Yeah, she's got it right there. 5:52. Up to Harlem, where, again, there are new test results that show Legionella bacteria in the water system of one of Harlem's largest apartment complexes. The New York City Health Department taking samples in early January after 2 residents of 333 Broadway tested positive for Legionnaire's disease over a 12-month period. And you can imagine people who live in this building are just panicked to hear again that Legionella has been detected.
I've gotten sick over the last 2 weeks twice, and I guess it makes me just wonder whether or not, that it could have been something more. Right now, all we can do is just wait while they're cleaning the water system.
So what the New York City Health Department is telling us is that they've hired a water management team performing remediation of the water system to address the risk. But people who live in this building say it's not happening fast enough.
I just want to see them, just handle this in a great deal of urgency.
Everybody should be tested if they have a cold or if they think they have it.
Obviously, if this is on our doorstep, you can see from the building that they're not separate buildings, but in fact adjoining towers in one solid building.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people that it affects. They're testing the hot water system in towers A and B. Unfortunately, Legionella bacteria was detected. So you don't really know what to do, and that's what people were asking. What do we do about this?
I think there needs to be a quicker response time and clearly measures put in place.
Yeah, so there will be a meeting for tenants in towers A and B tonight at 6:30 in that building at 3333 Broadway. 5:54. Police have identified the human remains that were found Sunday morning inside of a NYCHA complex in Brooklyn and Williamsburg. The body of 39-year-old Michelle Montgomery was found in the basement of this building on Bushwick Avenue. The body was found inside a garbage bag, a couple garbage bags in the compactor room. And neighbors, of course, in this building, they want to know more about why she ended up there, what exactly happened to her.
I heard banging in the middle of the night around 3 a.m. By the garbage disposal. There's blood marks on the roof platform on both sides. And then there are some handprints on the fourth floor.
NYCHA workers were moving garbage bags inside of the compactor room when one of those workers said she struggled to lift a heavy bag, and then she tore into it to see what was inside, and unfortunately she got a shock that she will remember for the rest of her life.
I've seen a whole bunch of cops right here and upstairs and stuff like that. It is a little shocking and a little crazy.
Got to be more safe. You don't know what people's mind could do out here.
Yeah, the Office of Chief Medical Examiner working to determine the official cause of death. As of this morning, no arrests in connection to her death have been made. Over in New Jersey, I saw this for myself last night when I was out walking the dog. There were ICE agents out. Don't know who they were looking for or if they made any arrests, but ICE detained several people from Sunday going into last night in Hoboken and Jersey City. More arrests apparently were made last night. The encounter, one of them, happened as ICE agents were conducting operations at the light rail station that connects Jersey City to Hoboken. And the city councilman, he's actually, in full transparency, is my city councilman, Jake Efros. He went up to these ICE agents and started filming them as they were making an arrest of someone.
I'm not going to tell you anything else.
Do you have a warrant?
You don't need a warrant, bro. Stop getting that in your head. That's it. Okay, that's it.
I'm recording.
Okay. You can record. I have no problem with you recording. But you're not going to get in the elevator with us right now.
It's my right to be able to use
you're not going to get in the elevator
public transit, right?
I'm letting you know, if you do come in, I'm going to consider you as interfering.
So that's what it sounded like as the ICE agent was making this arrest, and the councilman Efros was talking to him.
Why are you taking this man? Why are you taking this man? Do you have a warrant for his arrest particularly? Do you know who that?
It's extremely troubling, and to hear that directly from his mouth, that they can just go around, pick someone up, kidnap them, and take them away.
Now, the question, of course, nobody asks here is, what were they being arrested for? We reached out to the Department of Homeland Security to find out. We have not heard back. The mayor of Hoboken says businesses in her city were impacted because some of these workers did not show up for work as they had been carted away.
I've heard from several business owners who had employees that were taken yesterday. They were on their way to work, and I don't think anyone had the expectation that this would be targeted at Hoboken.
Homeland Security, again, has not told us why. The assumption is, obviously, they were here illegally, but were there secondary things that they had committed crimes? We just don't know yet.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
If you're thinking about changing schools, why wait? At Manhattan University, love those guys. You don't have to start over. With transfer-friendly pathways, your credits count, and you keep moving forward. From day one, you're part of Jasper Nation, preparing for the real world. And with New York City just a train away, opportunity is everywhere. Ready to move forward without missing a step? Visit manhattan.edu/transfer and enroll today. Manhattan University. Don't start over, move forward.